This is Plaid Hour with Austin and Kendra.
I was dressed first.
Oh no, I left the house. You've been in that all day?
Yes, sir, for like
Okay.
the past 3 days.
Wow.
I win.
We're going to catch you up on a lot more than what we've been wearing in this episode. There have been some huge changes on our homestead, and we're going to catch you up in this episode of Homesteady.
Yeah, and huge changes in the world right now.
Tonight, more than 1,300 people sickened in the U.S. At least 39 have died in this country.
So unusual.
The New York Department of Health required we sit 10 feet apart because the state is monitoring the 60 Minutes office where several colleagues have the virus.
Normally, we would catch up on all of the headlines from around the world. But today, there's only one story the entire world is talking about: the coronavirus, aka mumbo number death.
Tensions flared at Woolworths Chullora around 7 o'clock this morning when 3 women became involved in a toilet paper tussle.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of things to address. Feels like, how can you not talk about that? Like,
That's
right
how
away?
I feel. That's how I feel with the
Everything you do.
doing these coffee talks now. On the podcast, you'll hear these soon. I'm calling them the Homesteady coffee break, where I just sit down and have a coffee and just talk about like what's going on. And I started it 2 weeks ago, and so all we've talked about is coronavirus.
Yeah, that's how I feel like right now. Like, that's not what this is about.
No,
but
this isn't about coronavirus.
that is happening right now.
And it makes us feel really, really good that we're homesteading.
Yes, and the decisions we've made in the past few months.
Yeah. Interesting how having our 5th child has really gotten us in a better place through the problems that we've dealt with our 5th child.
Right. I'd say he's been the hardest
Absolutely the hardest
by
kid we've had.
far.
Yep.
And he's put us in maybe the worst place we've ever been as parents for a prolonged period of time.
Yes.
You know, we've had emergencies with the kids, but nothing that's lasted months and months and months.
Yeah. And yet he's put us and our family in a better place than we've been in when it comes to like homesteading and health and just even our family life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Through this. So this is going to be a story of dealing with some issues with your baby and how it, if you just take it on and, you know, put up your dukes and just take it on, how it's made our family better.
I know, you need to have like a This American Life, like Ira Glass. Like, so in today's episode, a sick baby, a homestead in Pennsylvania, and...
Camels.
Right?
Let's do it. That was a great intro.
I wasn't going to say camels like that. I was going to say, and the animal you're least likely to expect on a farm or something. You know, you got to like, you know, like the 3.
To get people's
I can totally
attention.
hear
and
Ira
keep
Glass
them.
saying this.
Captain Mike does a pretty good Ira Glass.
Mm-hmm.
I could see if he would do it for us.
And today's episode. There.
About 3 months into our 5th child, is that it? He was hard right out of the
Like
gate.
6 months.
He was
5
hard.
months. He's been a fussy, colicky baby from the very beginning. But we're rolling with it. We were like, we've done this before.
Yeah, we've had a fussy, colicky baby.
Yeah, our first was like that, so we knew what to do.
You wanted to have a 5th child because you wanted to have one last...
I wanted a baby. I wanted another child. And I felt like I kind of had this all like taken care of. I knew how to do it. I knew how to raise kids. I had experience with 4 babies already. I thought, what could be thrown at me that I wouldn't be able to handle?
And you kind of wanted one that you could relish.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like we've had the first kid where you're like, whoa, and then the second kid where you're like, yeah. And then the third kid where you're like, oh, 3 now. I'm outnumbered. But then like number 4.
But no, and we moved, so it went kind of fast 4 went fast and left us saying, we could do this one more time.
So number 5 was supposed to be our one last easy, just relish this baby. But out the gate, literally, he was the second hardest birth you had.
Yep.
And then he was a handful about when he came out, he didn't stop crying, which reminded us of our first. And he didn't stop crying to this day, right?
Uh-huh.
He's been a high maintenance baby, but again, we've had 4 other kids. We've had high maintenance babies. No biggie.
Right. And then medically, he started having some issues, falling off the growth curve. We're watching, every doctor's appointment. No big deal. Babies grow at their own rate, but this was different than we had experienced before.
He fell off quickly.
And, pretty extreme. That we had never dealt with before.
Yeah, so the doctors wanted us to see some specialists. So we did.
The diagnosis they gave us was that we were dealing with a milk soy protein intolerance. That meant he was having some malabsorption issues because I was drinking milk and soy. His body was reacting to it. Everything was inflamed. He wasn't able to get the nutrients out of the milk that he was taking in. I stopped drinking milk, stopped eating things with soy. Didn't seem to help.
Remember, for those of you who are listening, this is really a special episode for our podcast audience because the YouTube audience has been along for this ride for a while now. But we haven't had a good sit-down podcast chat. So I just want to remind the podcast audience, if you're not following us on YouTube, we currently have 4 mini Jersey cows. Two heifers and 2 cows. 2 of them in milk. We have been milking these mini Jerseys. A2 milk, rich cream, butter fat. We love this stuff.
Yeah, we had been eagerly anticipating them to calve this fall. We had been without milk from them for a long time.
Since we moved.
So almost a year.
Well, dried them off.
Yeah.
So, we were in the peak of they literally had their calvings in the fall when we started dealing with this issue. And we're getting farm fresh mini Jersey milk. And then the doctors are like, yeah, Kendra's going to have to not drink milk anymore.
Every time they ask me, do you drink milk? I said, well, I have dairy cows, so yeah, I'm drinking milk.
But that's okay. Nothing's more important than the wellness of the baby. So Kay was like, all right, I'll stop drinking milk. You know what? Taking out the milk, not a big deal.
No, I could do it.
And actually, that was really the beginning of your diet change.
Yeah, so we took out milk and soy. Didn't see any huge improvements. We were going to specialists. We were going to doctors. I'm continuing to take things out of my diet, get down to a very basic diet, and nothing really changed.
Yeah, when you say you were getting down to a basic diet, eventually we decided Kay was going to try a total elimination diet. Now when you go to the total elimination diet page on Facebook, they warn you, don't do this unless you have to, because a total elimination diet is not a diet you want to be on for a very long time. You eliminate lots of things out of your diet to identify the problem, but when you eliminate a lot of things out of your diet, it's hard for you to be healthy while you do that.
Right. To still keep up breastfeeding, keep up my milk supply, to just not go crazy, and to still take care of everyone in my family who is not eating a total elimination diet.
And that's a good thing you mentioned your milk supply, because the baby is breastfed this whole time. He is just on breast milk.
Right.
So the whole reason Kay is eliminating things out of her diet is because the baby can actually be negatively affected by food she eats because he's only being breastfed at this time. So you start the total elimination diet.
Right.
And
the reason I decided to do that instead of switching to a formula is because we weren't sure a formula would work. Doctors weren't sure a formula would work. So we followed the Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine's recommendation. They say to continue breastfeeding, to adjust the mother's diet instead, because the breast milk still has tons of good things for the baby, even if they are reacting to a certain protein that the mother's eating.
So she wants to keep being able to breastfeed, so that was important to us, but that meant she would have to eliminate whatever foods were bothering our baby. And so you went down to eating, at your lowest, you were eating
Venison?
Venison, right, the days of venison.
Yeah, the days of venison. We thought, what could be the best protein? Just a wild meat that's out there in the forest, eating all the foresty goods. So I was eating venison, kale, olive oil, and that was it.
That was it for like a month.
Yeah, that was hard. I got really sick of venison.
I don't think you realize you're not like an emotional eater like I am. I'm an emotional eater. I can easily admit that.
I am an emotional eater too. I think most of us are. There are emotions associated with food for us.
Well, that's what I was going to say is you don't realize how much you are emotionally attached to food. Some people, like I feel like me, I will turn to food when I'm stressed. I will turn to food when I'm bored. I will turn to food when I'm happy. I will turn to food when I'm sad. I am your classic emotional eater. But you're not like that. However, take it all away and it touches those emotions.
Yeah, just think about like morning something.
Anything.
Morning anything. Morning tea, morning coffee.
That ritual.
It's the ritual that I love. I love it so much. I love waking up, and this is in December, January, like the depths of winter when it's dark and cold and you wake up and just want that warm cup in your hands. I did try, what did I try? It was just, that green smoothie you made for me out of kale, remember?
Oh. Because all she could have was kale and olive oil.
Yeah, so we put like kale and water and mixed it with an immersion blender. It was like vomit.
Oh.
It was chunky. It was so bad.
Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah, and I was really missing some coffee or tea.
That was
or
one of the low
anything.
points.
Oh yeah, I was depressed.
And I, about a month into you being on a strict diet, I am a boisterous, exuberant,
Talkative.
extrovert in the morning. And so I get that cup of coffee and I'm just like, oh man, yes.
So obnoxious.
Not to rub it in, but I'm not being considerate to the person who's drinking kale vomit.
It is like what kale would vomit.
And
too.
so it was one too many
terrible.
times of me just like, yeah, I love coffee. And I was
making
like, no, I'll
jokes
do it.
about what I was eating.
I'll do it, babe. I wasn't. I
You
don't
didn't
like,
do it on purpose.
I don't want people to think I was like gloating in front of you, like this
No, you're
coffee's so
just
good.
living
you
a
can have it."
normal life.
I had kept saying all along, like, babe, I'll do this with you for solidarity. I'll do it with solidarity. So I said it again. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'll do it for solidarity. And she said, okay.
All right.
So about a month in.
Now,
and
it's been 5 pregnancies, and he's never abstained from anything in support, right? Some husbands will, oh, she can't drink. I'm not going to drink. We'll do this together. I'll take coffee out of my diet, too. But Austin hasn't done that, which is fine. I didn't ask him to.
You never asked me to. Never was an issue. But
when you offered this time.
You were like, yeah.
Yeah, because it felt very sad and lonely on my side of the table when I couldn't have coffee. And you were like, oh, this coffee's so good.
I was solidarity.
So I said, okay.
And
I
then
accept your offer.
about a month in from that. So a month goes by. We're both eating just venison and kale.
Yeah.
And Still, through all this, we're not really seeing much benefit
Progress, yeah.
to the baby. Don't worry, this story improves. We do find some answers. We wind up getting camels. Stay tuned. This is a really good episode. But before we continue, it is time to do our Homesteady Camel Train shout out. For 100 days, we are producing 100 videos. Some of those are video podcasts like this one, and they're all about raising your own food to feed your family the best quality food you can. We're gonna talk about raising your own meat. We're gonna talk about raising your own milk. We're gonna have vegetables, all kinds of things going on during these 100 days. And we're calling this the Homesteady Camel Train in honor of our newest additions to the homestead. You can sponsor one of these 100 videos by joining the Camel Train. Just click right there to do so. Today's Camel Train shout out is Alamandi, who joined the Camel Train all the way from Australia. We actually have a pretty good following in Australia. You guys love homesteading. They said a friend of theirs is going to help them get their Homesteady Camel Train t-shirt from the States all the way to Australia. So that's awesome. Alamandi dreams of a homestead or a small farm in the future, but until that happens, they're busy gardening. When they finally get that homestead, they're hoping for maybe some horses and some sheep. So Alamandi, I hope that does come in your future. Beautiful homestead, beautiful horses, some sheep out there in beautiful Australia. Also, camels are easier to get in Australia, so maybe consider adding a couple to the Alamandi ranch. Alamandi, we will be shipping your Homesteady Camel Train t-shirt to your friend who will help you get it. And also, you now have lifetime access to the Pioneer program, so enjoy that. If any of you watching would like to join the Camel Train, get lifetime Pioneer access, your one-of-a-kind t-shirt, and your shout-out, click there, and you will be on the Camel Train. Let's get back to the podcast.
He was on his growth curve still, what had become his growth curve, which was pretty low. Developmentally, he was fine, but we really wanted to see some gains. We wanted him to gain some weight.
So we haven't seen a whole lot of progress. If you've ever been a parent who has a child with some kind of issue that is not going away and the quick fixes aren't helping, then you know the feeling. You start diving down rabbit holes on the internet.
Yeah, eventually, because you're looking for other people. You look for those people who are saying, the same thing happened to my kid. And okay, what did they do? What happened? How did they help their child on these Facebook communities? I found several with milk. I started actually with the milk and dairy and soy-free meals. Homemade meals for moms who are breastfeeding, dairy and soy-free. Very specific. Because I wanted more food ideas, what I could make for myself and for the kids. But then once I started taking more things out, I started into the total elimination diet groups and the corn allergy groups. All of these different groups where you read, okay, their baby had the same problem. What did they do? Okay, I'll do that too. And this other person did this. Well, I'll do that too. It's crazy, very overwhelming, and it seems like everyone's just kind of making stabs because the doctors don't have any idea what to do for these babies. They don't know why this happens.
We asked one of the specialists that we had gone to see, why does this happen? Why is this issue happening? And the answer was, we don't know.
This is a very prestigious hospital.
Yeah.
A gastroenterologist, and that was what she said. We
don't know.
No.
So when your specialist in this medical field tells you they don't know why it happens,
and he'll just eventually grow out of it.
And until then, here's a couple kind of Band-Aids to use, then you start to say, well, you know what?
We can do better.
We can do better, yeah. And that's where you just started looking harder for
better.
For better. And something just kept popping up.
Camel milk.
Yeah, we said camel milk.
And time and time again, for these babies who just weren't growing, people would say, moms would say, well, I tried camel milk and I saw a change quickly. I saw weight gains. I saw they could eat more foods. I saw improvement to these babies who hadn't been improving. So that little thought was in my brain, like, camel milk.
We started joking about it. Started with her just being like, hey, look, camel milk.
You know, in our marriage, that's how, like, I bring up these things, right? Kind of like test the waters to see how it will be accepted.
I never made that connection. Now I'm going to start paying attention to
Every
your
time
jokes
I, like,
more.
joke about something. Yeah, what about have your camel milk? How crazy would that be to milk a camel?
And, of course, I was thinking she's joking. Yeah, that would be awesome. Oh, man, could you imagine the videos of, like, us milking a camel? That would be so cool. And then it just kept camel milk.
Yeah.
I
would forget about it, and then I'd read about it again.
We were at dinner one night with your parents and some friends, and we were like, they were asking us how the baby's doing, and we're talking. We said, you know, we're doing some research, and we found out that camel milk actually could help. And they were like, yeah, camel milk can help. They have a grandbaby who's having some issues, and they were doing research, and they had found out about camel milk.
Yeah, they read about it too.
And when that happened, we were like, oh, we better get some camel milk before everyone else does. It's going to be a run on camel milk. The reason why, we're not going to dive into all the like medical side and the science behind this, but just a couple things about camel milk. As we did this research that we came to learn. First off, it's a milk, so any mammal milk is, imagine the basic nutrients for that animal to come into the world and thrive, right? Milk is all the things this little thing needs. So just at a basic level, milk is a really good thing for something with fragile, right? It needs,
young.
It's got the essentials. So it's good as long as it doesn't have things that are going to cause that little body to react negatively. And unfortunately, cow's milk, even A2, you know, really grass-fed, really organic, great quality milk like what we get from our cows, it does have proteins in it that can cause allergic reactions. Camel milk does not.
For whatever reason, cow's milk has not bothered me before, but for whatever reason, with this pregnancy, with this baby, it doesn't agree with him, and we don't know why. There are theories out there about why it happens. A lot of doctors believe it's due to the gut, all the microbiome that's going on, and a mother's body passing it on to her baby, which may be compromised by environment, medication, sickness, vaccinations. We don't know.
Yeah.
Camel's milk can help with those issues.
That's the other thing. Not only does camel milk not have the proteins and things that can irritate, but it has some properties unique to it that can actually help.
To help support a healthy microbiome.
Right. It can help the microbiome. It can help the flora, the fauna. What's flora. In your? It's a flora that's in your gut. Fauna's like a deer walking around your belly. It can help rebuild that. It can also help with it's antiviral, antifungal. It has a lot of medicinal properties, and for thousands of years, camel milk has been used as medicine in groups of people that have access to camel milk.
To camel.
We'll have an upcoming interview and more about the health benefits in camel milk itself. We're not going to dive into that today. Next week's podcast episode is an interview with someone who wrote the book Camel Crazy, and we talk a lot about the medical side of camel milk. So we'll save that for next week. But we did a lot of research into this, and while there is not huge studies to back up all the claims that you'll read out there, there is a lot of evidence to suggest that camel milk could help, and that it definitely would be something she could actually eat without bothering the baby. And when you're only eating venison and kale, a third thing sounds really good.
Right. We knew, or we hoped it wouldn't. We hoped it would help, but at the very least that it couldn't hurt.
So then we decided, you know what, we're going to try camel milk. But as you know, we're big fans of raw milk. We like to have raw, fresh, short little chain.
Yeah, we like the control. That's why we grow our meat, our milk. We like to have control over those things.
The whole idea behind Homesteady is the idea of taking your home. You know my intro that we used to play for the podcast. I don't really play it much anymore, but the world can be a crazy place. But you and me, we can each make it a little better. We can live a more sustainable life. We can do it together. So
You remember that pretty good.
yeah, I've heard it a couple times.
So we, instead of looking for a place to buy camel milk,
Where they would have to ship it to us, and you know they have a supply
the
that
way
could...
we say it makes it sound like this is how people normally think.
What?
Of course, this is what people do. Instead of just trying to buy camel milk, I started pricing out camels.
But it's true. I mean, we want our homes to be the source. The world's crazy. If we're dependent on... There's very few camel dairies in the United States.
Yeah.
Something we learned as we started trying to source camel milk, camels are no longer being imported into the United States. So there's a very small amount of them compared to other livestock. And there's very few camel dairies. There is one that we know of in Pennsylvania.
A couple in Pennsylvania,
Two?
I think. Yeah.
2 in Pennsylvania.
There may be more. Maybe
They're hours away.
Yeah.
There is one in Michigan, one in
There's one in
California, and I'm sure there's a couple we don't know about, but it's very hard to find a source. You can't just go down to your local camel dairy and get camel milk. So for us, any purchase of camel milk would require shipping and that product to be frozen. And as we said, we like to know that the things our family needs is right out there in the backyard and we can get. This is before coronavirus outbreak. This is before, there's no toilet paper at the supermarket. This is just how we live our life. We like having the things that make us feel calm and provided for and ready. Preparedness. We like to have that growing in our backyard. And so instead of looking for a place to sign up for a shipment of camel milk, we started actually thinking about getting camels.
Just thinking, because I looked online to price out some camels, made a few phone calls, and they were a big investment. Big, scary investment.
As we said, they're not being imported into the States. There's a very limited amount, supply and demand. Anytime this demand for something like camel milk is rising and your supply is not...
And the demand is growing. It's a lot of parents who have children with autism spectrum disorder or with food allergies like we have, they're very interested and want to try camel milk. So it's popular. It's a hot item.
That makes camels themselves a very expensive animal. And not only are they expensive, but they're unique. Our, local vet doesn't have experience with camels. We know this because we asked.
He said when the circus, was it the circus comes through, they treat camels?
The fair.
The fair, yeah.
They do the inspections at the fair. But yeah, so not only is this an expensive animal, but it's one that we couldn't find a local mentor, we couldn't find local support that would really understand it. So it had us kind of feeling like...
Yeah, it was a seesaw, I think. Like,
we want to do anything for our baby.
Yeah, camel milk. That makes sense for us. We have a farm. We've milked animals. We can we could do this. We could get a camel. And then it was like, wow, but camels are expensive. They also they're more like goats in how they eat. We already have been through goats. We said we weren't going to do that anymore.
We had bad issues with our goats last year and how they fit on this property. And
yeah, so it's a seesaw of we want to do this, but we're really scared to do this. This might not be the right choice for us.
So to really get a good idea of what was going to be involved, we needed to talk to some camel experts. We started making phone calls. I wanted to go do a field trip. I wanted to go and film on a camel farm and learn about camels. But not a lot of people were saying yes to that. Finally, I got somebody who was willing to talk on the phone and talk a lot. He was willing to answer a lot of my questions. I probably spent 2 or 3 hours in 1 week calling him and asking him a bunch of questions. He wasn't selling me camels. He wasn't selling me camel milk. He was just being helpful. He said, listen, there's no secrets here. I like helping people get started in camels. I've helped out of all the camel dairies and people who have camels in the United States. I've helped almost all of them. So he was just a great resource. And as I picked his brain, it became less and less scary. And I knew he had a couple camels he was going to be taking to the auction through our conversations. So I finally called him up one day and I said, how would you feel about not going to the auction, instead selling us? He had 2 what they call cows. Camel females are called cows. And then calves. That's what you call a young camel. So 2 cows and a calf that he was going to take to the auction. I said, what if you didn't? What if you sold them to us? So we started wheeling and dealing and getting an idea of how much money it was going to cost, and it would be a significant investment. But again, if this will help our baby, help Kay, we already have
the infrastructure.
Yeah, and we know how to milk animals. This isn't a huge leap. So we figured, you know what? Keep talking about it, keep going back and forth. Let's do it.
We decided, we told him, okay, we're interested. Let's get the vet out. Let's do vet checks. We wanted vet checks on them, preg checks on them to make sure we were getting what we hoped we were getting.
Right. You need to have, obviously, an animal who's going to produce milk needs to be pregnant. Both of the cows were supposedly pregnant, but we wanted to make sure with this kind of investment.
Yeah, even if you're buying a cow, the owner says they're pregnant. Get a test that says they're pregnant. Nothing's 100% sure.
Yeah.
In shipment, they could lose the calf, whatever, but at least do your due diligence.
He said, listen, I don't need to preg test. For me, I am confident that they are, but if you'd like to have it done, I have no problem. It's going to cost money to get the vet out here and get this test done. Give me a deposit. What do you want? Give me a deposit. Baby woke up. Hey, there he is. Okay. There he is. All right. So, with things getting more serious,
he's like, who are you talking to?
Our camel mentor, those of you listening, the baby just woke up. So, if you hear little sniffly sounds and little grunts and groans, it's either my belly or the baby.
Yeah, blame the baby.
With me finally saying yes, we really want to do this, our camel mentor, he wanted to make sure we knew what we were getting into. So he explained in more detail one of the cows.
They're older cows.
Yeah.
That's why he was sending them to auction. His barn was full and these were older cows.
They were his cull animals, not to be killed, just to be sold. And he was very honest. He said, listen, this is their condition. One of them was in good condition and had a calf that she was nursing. The other one was getting older and needed some help and needed a special diet and was going to need special care. Hi. And hi. The more I listened to what they were going to need, he's so wondering,
Daddy's
who
great.
is Daddy talking to?
He's
The baby
great.
is smiling ear to ear because he's trying to figure out who I'm talking to. Hi. The more I heard about how much special care this second cow needed, I started to feel overwhelmed. We had gone through medical issues with our goats this year, and I felt like, I don't know, maybe this is a mistake. We have no experience with this animal. It's a big investment. We have nobody to mentor us here, teach us here.
So you said, no, let's not do this. Is that funny? Is that funny? Daddy said no. So you said no.
Yeah, we had a
And-
discussion at dinner one night, and I just said, you know what?
Was it lunchtime?
Or was it at lunch? Right. We had a discussion. Oh, it was like morning coffee?
Yeah.
Because we had the whole day to think about it. We're sitting at morning coffee. Well, not morning coffee because we weren't drinking coffee. What were we drinking?
You were drinking hot water with lemon then.
Yes, that's what I was up to, hot water with lemon. And we were talking about it, and I just said, you know what? There's too many variables. It's a huge expense. We don't know what we're doing. We don't have a mentor. It's just, it's not going to work. And you, smart enough.
I knew I couldn't handle a new animal without your support. I did it with the cows when I could, but with the baby this year and the limited diet, it means I'm making a lot more and different food. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to. So I knew I couldn't spearhead this effort. I needed your energy behind it. That's what it came down to.
And I was scared.
And I had to respect that. It was scary. It was a big, crazy, scary thing to do, it felt like. I was disappointed, though. I was in the middle of reading a book called... I was disappointed because I just finished reading a book, Camel Crazy, that was very inspiring about camels and camel milk all over the world. And I'd been getting really excited about being able to try this. This was going to be the thing that helped our baby, the thing that helped me. And even though we could get it, we could buy it, we could get it shipped in, I felt like a little bit of the hope. I never know how to say this. I don't know. How do I say? What changed? I never know what to say.
The wind was out of your sails?
Yeah, it felt like a little bit of that. It felt like the wind was out of my sails when he said no. Like, okay.
It was a hope that had been there that was no longer there. You had this hope that maybe this could work, and now it was gone.
But it's silly to say that. I never know how to explain this because you could still buy camel milk.
But that's not Homesteady. That's not, you don't have a camel in your backyard providing the medicine that your family needs.
Okay, I have a thing to compare it to. You're gonna be a goof. I felt there's a book called Keeping the Family Cow, and I read that years ago. But we weren't at a place in our life to get a family cow. I remember that feeling after I read that book. I was probably halfway through the Keeping the Family Cow book when I said to myself, you have to stop reading this because this makes me want to buy a cow. It really inspires you. And that's what that book, Camel Crazy, did for me. It made me fall in love with camels and camel milk. So when you said no, I felt like, but that was my calling. It was calling me to buy a camel and milk it. And when you said no, it felt like I just couldn't answer that call. Frozen 2 here.
Kay has grown up since the woman that I first met. When she gets a calling...
I'm a passionate person in a different way than Austin.
She's a much more... I don't know. This is a strange one because we both are passionate, driven people.
But we act on it in different ways.
I guess the best way to describe this is how we wound up getting engaged. Kay is passionate. She understands how she feels about something. It takes her some time, but when she makes that click, she said, I love you first, because she knew. I was afraid, and I didn't propose to her until she dumped me because she was tired of waiting for me to make that decision. I have to feel the fear of the wrong decision to know which one is right. Kay knows which one is right before she doesn't need, she knows which one is right. I have to feel which one is wrong. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I proposed to her.
Making a discovery here.
She knew we should be married. I felt that too, but she knew it first. She said, you know what, I'm tired of waiting. If you don't know, this won't work. She dumped me, and that's when I proposed to her.
You have to know yeah, that was pretty good what you said. I don't remember what you said, but it was good.
That's how I work. And that's not how you work.
Although it should be sometimes.
Aye.
Sometimes I don't
Oh, you don't always make
take
the right
long
decision.
enough. No, I don't. Just because it's like driven by passion.
No, I don't either. I mean, that's not. No one always makes the right decision.
There for all
Yeah.
you teas out
Mind blown. Yeah, but that's how we make art. You feel which one is right, and I feel which one is wrong. And a lot of times those align and cause great things. I decided no. She, much different than the woman who I first married or started dating, just said, well, if that's how you feel, then it sounds like you've made a good decision, and I can respect that. And that was that. We were not getting camels. I texted my Camel connection and said, you know what, thank you so much for taking all this time with us. We just don't think we're ready for this at this moment. And there, the decision had made, and we weren't getting camels. And then I said, but let us know how we can order some camel milk. We'll get it shipped. And the rest of that day, I just felt awful. I just felt like, no, that was the wrong decision. Yeah, you knew it too. It didn't sit right with me. You know, buyer's remorse? This was like
non-buyer's remorse.
Non-buyer's remorse. Like all day long after saying no, I felt like, no, you should.
Really.
Yeah. Like,
You've missed something big here.
yeah, like this could help, and you're letting fear get in the way. And you don't do that. Like, I don't let fear stop me from doing things. You know? When you look at our life and you look back at the decisions we've made some pretty like crazy decisions in what we're going to do and how we're going to live our life. And some people might feel that they are scary decisions, like, you know what, I'm going to start my own business and go full time creating content about, you know, homesteading and
They are scary
homesteading.
decisions.
We're going to have kids and more kids and more kids.
They
That's
are
a scary
scary
thing.
decisions, yeah.
We've never let the fear stop us from making the right decision. And this was the first time ever I let fear get in the way of something that felt like right.
And you felt like disappointed in yourself.
I did. I was like, I'm Ost from Homesteady. I produce a show every single week where I'm like, you got to get chickens and you got to get pigs and you got to
Just do
start
it. Make the first step.
growing your food. Don't hold back. And here I was, like going, no, the numbers don't align.
Oh, no.
It's too risky. I'm afraid this isn't going to work.
It is risky.
And so at dinner time, I was sitting there. I looked at you. I said, how do you feel? You remember what you said?
Disappointed.
I was like, yeah, me too. I feel like I made the wrong decision. And that's when you said the perfect thing. You said, we could just get the one.
That's not as scary.
No. 2 cows? That's scary. But just one and the calf?
That's not scary.
That's not as scary. And I was like, yeah. That's like much less expense. We don't have to get the one that needs all the special health care. We can get the cow and the calf that are doing good. She's pregnant. And that very night I texted.
If it was that moment, because it felt like, hurry up, so
He's going to
someone
sell
else
her.
doesn't buy her.
Yeah, well, you just put her on Craigslist. Camel for sale.
And you did. You called, and he didn't pick up, and I think then you texted, right?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. We'll take her.
I don't mean to go back and forth. It's just really scary, but we want to do this.
We want to do it.
And
He hadn't canceled the vet yet.
nope, he still was having the vet to come do the preg test. So that was a week before the Camels arrived on the farm.
Yeah, it happened quickly.
It happened very quickly. He was like, "You want them? Yes, okay, I'm bringing Camels."
He was in between calvings. It just happened to be an open week that he had. So a few days after we said yes, he was showing up with the trailer.
One thing on the YouTube channel, lots of people have asked us, we have not answered this question yet. Why didn't you at least try camel milk first before you got it? Before you got Camels? And
You're not letting me answer this one, right?
Why?
I was like, why?
you don't know.
Good question. No. We've got a different situation here. I think that's what it comes down to for us. We have the property for the animals. Ouch. We like taking care of the animals. I really enjoy this. One of my favorite things to do is care for things. There's a reason I have 5 kids. I have to stop, so I'm going to be the one with the animals. There's a reason we have cows and chickens, because we like this life. We like this agriculturally centered life. Camel milk fit into that more than just buying the milk.
We have a channel where we share our mini milk cows and our chickens and our, all our other animals, and we knew they would fit in well with that.
Yeah, people would like to see them. They're different animals, so people like to see them. And that's one thing we've learned from camels is that they're fascinating. They fascinate people.
Yeah, they are impressive. But I think the biggest thing, what people don't understand, they kept thinking like, well, what if the milk doesn't work? We weren't looking for a miracle cure. We were not expecting camel milk to cure all our problems ever. But medically, scientifically speaking, the protein in camel milk, it does not have the proteins in it that cow milk does. So there was very little chance that the milk would not at least be something Kay could add to her diet. And some people said in the video, we did a taste test, but people are like, well, why didn't you taste test it first before you bought it to see if you even liked it?
Which is a good thing to do if you can do that.
Well, if you're buying milk, milk for milk, but we weren't buying camel milk for cereal or for milkshakes.
Right.
It was medicinal. It was, this has helped people in our situation. That doesn't happen overnight. You don't rebuild your gut biome overnight. So it's something we need to be in for the long haul. And if we don't like the taste, we don't like the taste of a lot of medicine that we take. So it doesn't matter about the taste. This was, an investment in our family's long-term health. And even if Kay turned out she couldn't have it for some crazy reason, there are health benefits to our whole family here. It was a win-win. Like, there was no way camel milk wouldn't work for us. It might not do everything we hoped it would, but there was no risk that it wouldn't at least be good for our family to have raw camel milk in our diet, fun camels on the channel, a nice cozy animal to take care of. There was really no there was no way this could be a failure.
For us, yeah. So for us in our situation, as crazy as it sounds, a camel actually made sense. Especially just one
and
with her calf.
Right, once we got past that fear. Because there's a lot of things in your life, like proposing to the right woman is still scary.
I bet proposing to the wrong one's even scarier.
That was great. That's like us right there in a joke. From the phone call a week later, they were on their way. And we were like scrambling to get ready. We do not normally do this.
Yeah, we don't condone this.
I don't like getting animals before the infrastructure is ready for it. I want to be ready.
It happened faster than we expected.
We didn't want to miss this opportunity. The fact that we found, so this is what we found. We found a cow in milk with a calf there to help stimulate her to have the milk letdown happen, which is something you need with camels. The calf was not related to the cow. He was adopted.
So we can use him for breeding when he's ready, hopefully after she calves the next time. In milk, pregnant, calf by her side to help with letdown, a calf that she's not related to, so we can use him for breeding in the future.
This was like the perfect find.
For us,
We
yeah.
did not want to miss out on this. So we just made, you know what, if he's bringing her, we'll be ready. So we
Right, and
scrambled.
he could deliver her. We didn't have to go out.
So the camels arrived.
So the camels arrived.
Get your good video in so you can put it on YouTube, huh?
You know it, man. You did your research. I will never forget that moment, walking up to the trailer as he opened it up and seeing that cow stand. First time I've ever looked up at a livestock we've purchased. Ladybug was big, but I still looked down at her. This was like, oh.
When Ladybug arrived at our farm in Connecticut, she was my cow. So the farmer we got her from said, okay, take a hold of her, you're gonna lead her to the barn. So there was this it felt ceremonial, me leading my cow into the barn. Now when Millie, the camel, got off the trailer, the farmer handed her to Austin and said, okay, let's lead her to the barn.
I didn't pick up
she's your
on
camel
that.
now. I have never seen Austin be so smitten with animals, like a farm animal, as he has been with these camels.
That's true.
That started from day one. He came in and he was like, they're amazing.
They are. They're an amazing animal.
They're just otherworldly. They're
Yeah.
like something we've never seen before. The way they move,
They move in like slow motion.
deliberate.
They have these big beards and fuzzy heads that the wind blows on, and they look very majestic.
They're comically majestic, if that's the
That's
thing.
a good way to describe them. They are awe-inspiring. They make you just like feel like, wow, when you touch them and you're with them, they have a calming kind of grounding sense to them. And I thought they were going to be like a giant goat.
Like springing around,
Like
climbing
just
up gates. and
giant
stuff.
trouble. They are nothing like a goat. They're so, yeah, I've really enjoyed them. They've been an incredible. This is really the start of the story because we're only a couple weeks in. And we've been able to try milking. We've been able to try the milk.
We've milked twice a day since the first morning
I've
we had
milked
them.
twice a day since
Excuse
the
me?
morning we've had them.
I'm out there with you too.
Oh, well, I mean, this is big though. Like, I'm the one who's
Yes.
milking. You're with me every morning and evening, and you're my assistant.
Yes, but so it switched. Everything with the cows, I was taking the lead on, and everything with the camels, you're taking the lead on.
Yeah. So it's been a huge change. If you're not watching the YouTube channel, you should at least head over and check out a couple of the videos.
Just to see them.
Yeah, just to get an idea of what we're talking about. As far as camel milk goes so far, what have you noticed?
I love it. I love it because it's something I can have, and it doesn't bother him at all.
Yeah. So already,
It's pretty just like groundbreaking for us right now. Since November, everything I've tried to bring back into my diet has affected him, the baby. But the camel milk hasn't. It's really done some great things for me. I feel really good on it. And I was starting to feel a little run down, tired, and I don't feel like that anymore since I started drinking the camel milk.
that's a good point. You definitely were getting like worn out from this limited diet, and that has definitely gone away.
I have energy again.
Yeah. And like life.
Right. It's not unusual if you're on a very extreme diet. You don't want to be on an extreme diet if you can help it.
Yeah.
But because I was very tired and felt very stressed.
We didn't even say, like, I'm no longer on the same diet as you because our dietitian told us it's dangerous. Like, don't, for me, she said, you should not be on this diet because you don't need to be. So I can help work with Kay and I can make sure she gets what she needs. But so I'm on a strict diet still. And it's been really good for us. Our whole family's on a much better, we're eating a whole lot better than we've ever eaten before. We are growing our own food at a level that we've never done before. We're coming into this new year, we're going to be doing all our own meat like we always have, but with feed that is non-GMO,
corn-free, soy-free,
organic, amazing. Like,
it's very, very different than what we've done before.
And it's all thanks to this little guy.
It comes full circle.
And the Camels. And it came at a really good time because now here we are. We're about a month into this huge production. We started raising meat that she could eat because she had a very limited amount of meat she could do. So we started raising meat rabbits. We started raising, we got sheep coming soon.
Pigs. Everything.
All this happened. And then, like, coronavirus happened. And it just has made us feel really good going into this year. With all the craziness happening and all the runs on toilet paper in the supermarket and stuff, we are raising really good quality food that is helping our family, that is getting us all feeling better. And it's all thanks to the fussy baby who's making us end this episode of the podcast.
Yeah. So with that,
we're going to shut this one down. You'll hear more of this story in future episodes, but we're limited to the time that we have where the baby's not fussing. And that is over. Now we have to go milk a camel.
Ready?
Shall we go milk a camel? Let's go.
Do you want to milk a camel?
Yeah.
They're so cool.
Because our baby was so sensitive, we had to get camels.
You silly baby.
You're the reason we got camels. Oh, yeah.
Throw that. That's how you get your plate. Throw it.